I'd like to say, first of all, before I make a statement, that I want to clarify the misleading statements regarding Judge Budd, regarding the sex offender registry and illegals getting driver's license. And I want to put this on the record, and also on the record that I did call Judge Budd because I did not want to misspeak today and speaking about her. At our hearing, Judge Budd was given a hypothetical, and it was regarding a teenage couple who were going together for a year, and they were having sex. The boy was 16, and the girl was probably a month away from being 16. And he was found guilty of statutory rape. He would be put on a sex offender registry. And when Judge Budd was presented this, she said there are many like that that should not be on a sex offender registry. So I'm just saying how I feel when I think of a boy like that and put on a sex offender registry. He's not guilty of raping people, and what happens is that it will prevent him from getting a job, from going to college, for housing. His picture will forever be in the police station, in the post office, and everything. His life is ruined. And so that's what it was about. And it was so misleading and so demeaning, and it's just not fair. As far as illegals getting licenses, she said she would follow the law, and she said to me, absolutely. And the law is illegals do not get driver's license. So, and then she was asked about pedophiles. Pedophiles rehabilitated, and I asked that one, and she said she never saw one, and I said I agree. So that is the facts, and I think it's unfortunate that a representative doesn't call me, or I don't know if she called any other councilors, I didn't hear that, but she just goes on the media and she goes on the radio and makes all these statements, and it's unfair to a person to demean them and misrepresent what actually happened, and she didn't come to the hearing. So, I want to set that aside and to say why she should be on the SJC. I first want to say that I did get additional people who endorse her, and one was Newton Mayor Seti Warren, and he's known her for many years and sung her praises, and also Justice Island. And I talked to many attorneys, and they talked about her fairness, that she was brilliant. She never had one complaint in the Superior Court, and she's a role model for young women. And in addition to that, I have to mention that I got a call from Springfield, and this was a man whose father was a merchant in Springfield and was a very good friend of Judge Budd's grandfather, who was a police officer there. And he knows Judge Budd very well, and he praised her. So I just want to make it clear that some people don't want to be confused with the facts, but those are the facts. And I just want to say that I'm very proud to put her name in nomination before this council. And I want to thank the committee who vetted these three SJC, and they were people that were experienced attorneys and so forth. Even Justice Island was one of them, and they did a superior job, and I'm very, very pleased. And talking about superior, I also voted for these three SJC when they were in the Superior Court. So all well-deserved, and I'm so pleased to nominate and to put before the council Justice Budd, and I thank you for the time, Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you. And I also want to say that I reached out to the nominee about the illegal driver's license issue. She put it in writing to me and made it very clear that she will apply the law, was familiar with Governor Baker's new law that he just signed, which would prohibit illegals from getting driver's licenses. Councilor Devaney put it in context when we were talking about the sex offender registration and what the nominee meant. I think it's very unfortunate that there are some that will play political patty cake and take answers out of context to benefit from a 24-hour news cycle. What we do in this room is solemn, and when you talk about the appointment of a Supreme Court justice, I know my colleagues and I worked incredibly hard. It was a 6-hour hearing, and I think if you're going to criticize a nominee's answers, you might want to spend a little time at the hearing. I don't recall seeing anybody from the House of Representatives here. You know, I think when you're going to make those criticisms and you're going to attack a person with that type of experience, integrity, and respect in the legal community, you should really do your homework. And those criticisms that were made about her with respect to the driver's licenses and the sex offender registry law come from a person who obviously didn't do their homework. In closing, I would say that having studied Judge Budd's career, she's been on the Superior Court for years. We had incredible amounts of paperwork, background, J&C application, letters of recommendation, cases that we all studied for weeks before her confirmation hearing. Her record is this. She has been a law and order judge on the Superior Court, and she will continue to be a law and order judge on the Massachusetts Supreme Court. Thank you. Thank you.
The question regarding illegal immigrants being able to drive will never be decided by the Supreme Judicial Court of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It's a statutory matter to be decided by the legislature only. There is no constitutional right to drive a car. There never will be. It will never be before the Supreme Court, so that point is moot. And I think the law is very clear on that. I know the law is very clear on that. That's why when you get stopped for operating under the influence and you refuse to take a breath test, your license is taken because it's a privilege to drive, not a right. There is no constitutional right to drive. It will never be before the Supreme Court. I also concur in finding that Judge Budd is eminently qualified to serve on the Supreme Judicial Court, and I'll be pleased to cast my vote for her today. Thank you.
I just want to make a point. I appreciate the input of Representative O'Connell. She certainly has a right to make her position known. That's part of our democracy. One of the great stories in political life was the friendship between President Reagan and Senator Kennedy. They obviously ideological opposites, but they got along and they understood each other very well in the positions that they took. Having said that, Representative O'Connell would probably, if she was in a position to nominate Scalia, Clarence Thomas, Robert Bork, Samuel Alito, and you would see a shift of the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court to the far right. In Representative O'Connell's world, a woman would not be able to choose. There would be no marriage equality, and there would be no affirmative action in Massachusetts. That's the difference. That's what elections are all about. That's what judicial philosophy is all about. So I want to applaud the governor and the lieutenant governor for not only Judge Budd, but Gaziano and Lowy, because the court is not tilted to the right, as some were suspect of. It's a moderate, left-leaning court, at least by the answers that they gave the Executive Council. So these are three quality individuals, and I think the governor has two more, and if they're anything like the first three, it's going to be a very good Supreme Judicial Court for many, many years to come. Just speaking personally about the Budd family, I said at the time of the nomination, this was one of the great public service families in America today, not just Massachusetts, but in America. And they are outstanding people. And she's going to have a tremendous legacy on the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court. So I applaud the governor. I applaud the lieutenant governor. This is one good court for the citizens of the Commonwealth.
Thank you, Councilor.
She's too young in my view. But as I get older, most people are becoming too young. I do offset that with her, what she said at the hearing, the issues, the beliefs she holds. Most of them are beliefs I hold. I think she was right on about everything she said at that hearing. I think the representative got it wrong and misconstrued what she said about the sex registry as if she was going to remove people from it that had been already convicted of crimes. She did not say that, and she had no intention of doing that. In any event, I think a lot of her issues are similar to issues that I hold, quite frankly, as a Democrat. So I'm going to overlook her age and vote yes for her.
We have a motion, a second, and we may commence.
Councilor Caissie.
Yes.
Councilor Albano.
Yes.
Councilor Ferreira.
Yes.
Councilor Jubinville. Yes. Councilor Devaney.
Yes.
Mr. Rydell.
Yes.
Councilor Dutt.
Yes.
Councilor Kimberly.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you very much, all of you. I want to say thank you for your hard work in vetting the candidates that we've nominated to the Supreme Judicial Court, on top of all the work you're doing for vetting candidates to all the other courts. These are very important decisions, and I respect the work that you've done. I respect the preparedness for the hearings that have taken place, long hours, full vetting, and for all of us to witness firsthand sort of the vetting of a person's life, their personal decisions, their professional decisions, and how others view how they've conducted themselves. It's a real honor for all of us together. Thank you. We have three very great nominees that have been confirmed by this body that will now be able to serve in our highest court. Thank you all very much.
Congratulations to the three candidates.